Happy holidays, gang, and pull up a chair. Come on in, pull up a chair. Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. This is live show 1266. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. In fact, we're not engaged in anything else but just hanging around, having fun, talking about the latest in tabletop role-playing games. For the most part, we talk board games here and there. And I will normally share a first look at a role-playing game product, which I am tonight. We're actually going to take a peek at a couple of DynaMap bundles. These are rooms and hallways and doors and stuff like that. So this is something we're going to be taking a peek at in just a little bit. I have got a couple of these, and this is from Limited Factor Games, who I had an opportunity to chat with a little bit at GameholeCon back in October. So I am very pleased to have an opportunity to share those with you. Yes. Now, if you're tuning in to check out the DynaMaps, let me point out, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it'll probably be about 45 minutes before we get into the first look, because there's also another topic I want to touch on a little bit today. I'm not going to go take a deep dive into it, but I have received some emails from people who are kind of curious about my thoughts on something. So I will provide that relatively quickly in just a bit. Now, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. For some reason, I have like a little cat hair hanging off my nose. Get off me! Get off me! I think it's gone. This is just not a good day. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it real quick. Anyway, since this is a live stream, there is chat available. Now, you got to be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo. Kevin R. Smith is with us, as is Pete Strakulich. Wallona's Cave. Mike is hanging with the gang, as is Lord Cost 2000. And we might have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D lurking in the shadows as one of our chat moderators. She of the glittery banhammer. Kathy Evans is also chiming in. Good to see everyone tonight. So, as I mentioned, just a crap day today. You know, I know I mentioned how I got a flat tire. I had to replace a tire, what was it, 2 weeks ago? And then, what was it? I think it was Friday or Saturday. I go to, go do my grocery shopping, and got to start the SUV, the 2010 Subaru Forester. And it won't turn over. It's trying to crank, it's cranking, but it's kind of weak. But thing is, I'd already been told when I had the car inspected, because remember, I've only had the SUV since last March, end of March, early April. So I have not had it a long time. And there are some things that need to be fixed on it, but still, electrical is not one of them. So anyway, so I was like, yeah, when they inspected the car, I took it to a shop. They inspected it before I bought it. They said, yeah, you're going to need a new battery pretty soon. I said, oh, okay. So I figured, all right, that's what it is. So I go and I get a battery, come back, put the battery in. Car won't turn over. It won't start. And I waited a few seconds. I tried it again, started up. I said, okay, all right, cool. That must be it. Now, I had already done my grocery shopping because I actually used my father's car. And I hate driving other people's cars. Always hate driving other people's cars. For years, since I have learned to drive, I do not like driving other people's cars. Mainly because if something were to happen, even if it weren't my fault, it's still my fault. You know what I mean? So anyway, so I go out today. I'm going to run and go pick up some groceries. I'm going to make some chicken soup. I'll be a son of a bitch. It's doing the same exact thing again. Yeah. And then, of course, you go online and you check things out, and it could be, a million different things. Now, I do not have the piece of equipment so I can read error messages and stuff like that. I might actually order one. But it's like always something. Always something. Never fails. So I'm like, shit. With my luck, it's going to be like, just as you were pulling up. Because when I drove it and came home before the battery issue, there was no problems. None whatsoever. SUV was running fine. It wasn't, because my dad's always concerned about the timing belt because he had a timing belt break on him. I've had that happen 3 times with vehicles. I know all about timing belts. Yeah, the good old days when they were timing chains. And funny enough, the year after, the 2011 Subaru Forester has a timing belt, or has timing chain, I should say, not a belt. Anyway, so it's been frustrating. I almost did not get a show done today with the news and everything because I've been screwing around with that. But I did. Ta-da! Higzilla is with us. The madman has arrived, as has Chris Lundgren. So Chris Lundgren is asking, what is DynaMaps? Well, wait a few minutes, Chris. You're going to see him up close and personal. Mike says, hey, I'm not a sports team guy, but what team or hat is that I'm wearing? This is, I don't even know if they're around anymore. If I remember right, I think they were an affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates, although it's not the usual Pirates. Off the top of my head, I forget what the hell it was. I used to have the Mudcats hat, which I absolutely loved, and then somebody stole it. Why would somebody steal a hat? And like, okay. Keith Lewis says, AutoZone or O'Reilly will do the error check code for free. Yeah, but thing is, I got to get the vehicle over there. That's the problem. If it's not going to start, can't get it anyplace. Sir Kismet is with us tonight as well. All right, so anyway, enough about the automotive nonsense. Like I said, it's always something. Prior to this, it was the snowblower. Problem with the snowblower and taking that apart with the carburetor and stuff. Like I said to my dad, can't we have 1 week where it's just uneventful? There's no frustrations. No, not at all. All right, on to the news tonight. Arriving in March from Magnetic Press Play is the ANSA Files source book for the role-playing game of the Planet of the Apes. Here's the skinny. It's a madhouse, a madhouse. George Taylor, astronaut. The king is dead. Long live the king. Bring the cinematic thrills and shocking twists of the 5 original Planet of the Apes movies to your tabletop game. Now you can interact with apes and humans direct from the silver screen. Caesar, Taylor, Zira, Hasling, and of course, Dr. Zaius. Every iconic character is gamified for campaign use with biographies and statistics. This sourcebook showcases a detailed chronology of the distinctly different timelines that arose out of choices made by both human and ape alike. New rules, campaigns, and adventures give you everything you need to play in all eras from the films. The ANSA files are filled with reference resources of the larger-than-life personalities, weapons, and settings from the classic films and novelizations. The Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, which I happen to remember seeing in the theater as a kid with my parents, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and Battle of the Planet of the Apes, plus linking material from the novels Conspiracy of the Planet of the Apes and Death of the Planet of the Apes, the television series and comics. With more than 5 times the adventure in one place, this sourcebook expands on the official role-playing game of the Planet of the Apes, letting you experience the span of the Planet of the Apes universe like never before. Of course, you do have to have the core rulebook in order to play. Now, you can pre-order this 312-page hardcover for $49.99. It arrives in stores on February 3rd. And I gotta say, I am very, very curious about this. In fact, I sent an email to Magnetic Press mentioning, hey, you probably forgot about this, but I actually shared a first look video at the quick start that I had received at the, it was at Gamehole Con. It was 2 years ago. And, well, actually, I guess I should say it was like a year ago, because it was not last one. It was the Gamehole Con prior to that. And super impressed, really, really impressed. I am very curious to see this. So I actually reached out and said, hey, you know what? I know my audience is very interested in this, very curious about it. I'd love to be able to share video. So we'll see what happens. I guess there are 3 books. I think there are 3 books. I think there was like a box set possibly as well. No, I didn't know. Keith McGrath has popped on in the chat. Welcome back. Good to see you once again. All right, moving right along. Up for crowdfunding for Breaker Press is Wide-Eyed Terror Revisited for Dungeon Crawl Classics. And here's what I know. A blood-curdling scream rings out, traveling in the autumn air. A door slams. The sound of something breaking branches tears through the brush and is followed by several sharp, unnatural barks. Then, near silence as the wind kicks up. The only thing heard for the next few moments is the blowing wind and rustling leaves. Wide-Eyed Terror is a compact Dungeon Crawl Classics compatible adventure for 12 to 16 zero-level characters or 6 to 8 first-level characters. It details 18 individual areas, 4 NPCs, and 3 monsters. It plays as a tense, fast-paced encounter with multiple moving parts as the party inevitably splits up. Never split the party. It'll take about 3 to 4 hours for your players to complete. This revised version has been increased from being essentially a zine-size 24-page book to a full-sized 8.5 by 11 24-page booklet. It says 20 pages here, but then later in the sell sheet info, it says it's 24 pages. I'm going to say it's 24 pages. All of the maps have been redrawn to include new, challenging locations. Additionally, a new introduction and all new rumors have been added to more firmly root the adventure in Stenard, which is kind of like a grimdark horror setting from the author, which is built for Dungeon Crawl Classics. A late and much needed delivery from the notoriously punctual Bushel Bearers prompts the alemongers, owners of the Old Barn Tavern, to hire the PCs to check on its whereabouts. What should have been a simple cart stuck in the deeply rutted North Road is the catalyst for a night of terror when the Bushel Bearers are followed back to their farmstead. The Bushel Bearers and their farm are the latest victims of Gorsek the Lidless's campaign of malice. When the PCs arrive, the family has already been beset by Gorsek's foot soldiers, and help is needed urgently in all corners of the farmstead's grounds. Can the PCs save the Bushel Bearer farm and recover the expected bushels of berries and rhubarb? This Kickstarter project is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of that 24-page or maybe 20-page softcover with PDF for a $20 pledge. If you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can do so for $15 through December 23rd. Expected fulfillment on this Kickstarter is next July. Pete Reichlich says, Stenard is their default setting. Breaker Press rocks. I have all their stuff. Also, creator Nick Barron is legit. Inspired by the village of Hamlet. I actually met Nick and spoke with Nick for probably about 20 minutes or so at Polar Vortex last year. He was exhibiting there. He was one of the few exhibitors who was actually selling game stuff. Not that there were a lot of exhibitors. There were, 8, maybe 9. But yes, in fact, I had the Stenard Courier. I've actually never had I don't think I've shared a first look at this. Kind of got lost in the shuffle. But yes, there you have it. Pete Reichlich giving a thumbs up to Breaker Press. Spelling Mistake is with us tonight. Good to see you once again. On our next news piece, Atlas Games is teamed with Bundle of Holding for a money-saving offer on Magical Kitties Save the Day. I've got the deets on the deal. Adventure. This all-new Magical Kitties bundle presents... You have to guess? You know what it is. Magical Kitties Save the Day, an all-ages introductory storytelling game from Atlas Games. Every magical kitty has a human. Every human has a problem. Yeah, that's for sure. And lives in a hometown with troubles that make the problem worse. Yep, troubles. Starts with T and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. That stands for pool. Danger lurks around every corner. Witches hide in the forest, waiting for children to stray from the path. Aliens wear masks to look human and take over the earth. Children move to a new school where nobody wants to be their friend. Also, there are hyper-intelligent raccoons. The humans don't even notice the danger. In Magical Kitties Save the Day, you use your magical powers to go on adventures to take care of the troubles, to solve problems, and, of course, save the day. New to role-playing? Magical Kitties gives newcomers lots of tools, like a solo play module and guidance for both first-time role players and first-time GMs. Whether they're kids as young as 6 or grown-up friends new to tabletop role-playing, whether they've played board games with role-playing elements like Mice and Mystics or Time Stories, watch Stranger Things or actual play videos, or just think role-playing games sound like a lot of fun, your friends and family can adopt these magical kitties and find their way to the wide world of role-playing games. This all-new Magical Kitties bundle gives you the entire game line to date for an unbeatable bargain price. For just $14.95, you'll get all 9 titles in the Kitty Pride, the retail value of $58, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Magical Kitties Save the Day 2nd Edition core rulebook, along with the Game Master Kit, the introductory adventure, The Case of the Cursed Mirror, and 6 ready-to-play hometowns series supplements: Alien Invasion, Fantastica, Kitty Noir, Mars Colony, Power Up, and The Wild Ones. I wonder if Marlon Brando's in that one. Next, sign up and get notified when Atlas Games launches its new Meowtropolis Kickstarter campaign in early 2026. Who is that masked kitty? You are in this action-packed superhero setting for Magical Kitties Save the Day. Now, of course, we're more focused on what we can get right now. And of course, that is the bundle. These savings will run through December 30th. Gotta say, that's a sweet price. $14.95. I like the artwork to this, except for the core rule book. I mean, the cover, at least. I have not had an opportunity to really take a peek at this role-playing game. The cats look off a little bit. I don't know. But then they look normal in the other covers. They look like, magical kitties, I guess. Alrighty, on to our next news piece. Hexen Volume 2, the Zygist's Stellarium for Outcast Silver Raiders, is now out in print with the PDF from our friends over at Exalted Funeral. And here's the scoop. Within this second volume, the Zygist's Stellarium, yeah, that just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Uncovers the horrors of the wilderness within your campaign. Hexen Volume 2 is a zine created for Outcast Silver Raiders, but useful for any old-school role-playing game. This second volume focuses on natural threats and places of wildness in the world of Outcast Silver Raiders. Explore the occult medieval wilderness as the Zygist, a new class that calls down the celestial power of the sun and moon, their powers changing with the watches of the day. Grim Grottos offers new folklore-inspired creatures and multiple fully mapped wilderness layers in which to anchor them. Finally, explore the eerie woods surrounding Lanark's cabin with a regional map, then delve into the cursed cabin of the Mad Woodcutter himself with a detailed interior map. This issue includes the Zygist, a new class that calls down magic from the sun and moon. Already pointed that out. Grim Grottos, which has 3 folklore-inspired creatures that can be placed in any of 3 wilderness layers. And then Lanark's Cabin, which is a fully mapped adventure site with an overworld component, and the cabin itself, both full of enchanted horror. I do not have a page count here. I am kind of surprised. But the zine with PDF can be had for $20. The PDF is not available by itself as of yet. So it's the zine and PDF. You might recall I reviewed Outcast Silver Raiders and gave it a huge thumbs up. It is an excellent old school Renaissance role-playing game. It has its own unique vibe. It does things very, very nicely. Excellent setting. Really, really good setting. Speaking of Exalted Funeral, you may have seen my review for the Dolmen Wood Players book. Stay tuned. I will have the campaign book review this weekend. I did touch base with my contact over at Exalted Funeral. They're going to send us some Dolmen Wood adventures as well as the miniatures set. So we are actually going to get an opportunity to take a peek at those Dolmen Wood minis. Now, of course, Exalted Funeral usually takes a little bit of time to get stuff shipped out. You know, we're not talking Goodman Games shipping. We were talking about last night. But we're probably looking at about maybe 3 weeks or so. So I'd take a guess. We'll be taking a peek at those right about the new year. That'd be my guess. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. And once again, got another issue of Hexen, the Outcast Silver Raiders zine. Final news piece. The core rulebook for Space 1999, the role-playing game, is now available in PDF. And I've got all the details from Modifius Entertainment. A cataclysmic accident has sent Earth's moon hurtling into space, leaving behind a broken planet. Life has become a fight for survival for the people of Moonbase Alpha, as their journey takes them far deeper into the universe than they ever thought possible. Take part in a journey full of danger, wonder, and mystery as one of the dedicated crew of Moonbase Alpha on their search for a new home. Play an adventurous pilot, a stalwart security guard, a bold commander, an audacious medic, or any of the 300 Alphans. Whatever you choose, each mission puts the future of Moonbase Alpha in your hands. What will you do to rise to the challenge on the frontier of space? This RPG is a co-production between Anderson Entertainment and Modifius and brings an imaginative new layer of excitement to the Space 1999 experience. The 300-page full-color Space 1999 core rulebook contains extensive detail about life on Moonbase Alpha, its locations, departments, and how the people of the base spend their time. A complete rules system using the award-winning 2D20 system. Create a unique character, play as one of Space 1999's iconic cast, such as John Koenig or Dr. Russell. Advice and rules for running the game and creating new adventures, whether you're an experienced game master or running a game for the first time. A host of non-player characters with systems and advice for creating new and exciting people and aliens to encounter. There's even a ready-made adventure, Project Arrow, to begin your campaign, where the people of Moonbase Alpha launch one last desperate attempt to reach Earth. The 300-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $27. Hardcover is slated to arrive, as far as I understand, early next year, although I keep seeing conflicting things. It is supposed to carry also conflicting information with this, but I do believe it's an MSRP of $59.99. Reason why I say that is because normally the US website for Modifius Entertainment, their prices are a couple of bucks more than the MSRP typically. But of course, you do get the PDF with it. Now, Modifius Entertainment shows this is sold out. It does not show that this is a pre-order. Now, we know there was a crowdfunding project to bring this to life. I don't know if this is really sold out. I have also seen some retailers indicating that they've got this in stock. And then other retailers who tend to carry Modifius Entertainment stuff all the time, nothing. No indication of it whatsoever. So I am going to guess that this is not out yet. I'm taking a wild stab that it is on the very near horizon because as far as I understand, Modifius isn't a company like, say, Cubicle 7 Games where they're like, okay, we're going to release the PDF and it's 6 months or more before the physical book comes out because they also happen to use the PDF being out to help catch some of their errors and things like that. Usually Modifius Entertainment, their PDFs come out pretty close to when the physical books come out. So Mike was commenting about 2001: A Space Odyssey rather than Space 1999. It was a couple years later. I've only seen a few minutes of this when it came out. It was in syndication here in the Chicago area. I swear it used to be on WGN. I'm almost positive it was WGN that it was on. And every time I would catch it, it was always just like talking heads. And I was like, yeah. Because I was like, what, 10 years old or something? So it's like, yeah, okay. It's like, you know what? I wouldn't mind checking this out. I mean, the role-playing game, of course. Obviously, I'm probably going to touch base with Modifius Entertainment and chime in, see if I can get a copy of it. But, I'm kind of curious. Maybe it's pretty good. Keith McGrath says it's very British, which doesn't bother me at all. I watch a lot of European shows. Keith Lewis says they watch WGN on cable there in Texas. Some people got WGN, and then later it became something like WGN America, which was weird because WGN America didn't have the same stuff that was on WGN here in Chicago. Pretty bizarre. Anyway, I wouldn't mind checking out. Didn't this only run for a season? That's what I'm kind of curious about the role-playing game. It's like only a season that it ran. Although I would think that, depending on what the situation is, it could probably open up a lot of stuff as far as like a game master who was fairly imaginative. Don't know. Just like talking about the Planet of the Apes, the role-playing game of the Planet of the Apes, kind of makes me go back. Kind of makes me want to go back and watch the movies, the original movies. Kevin R. Smith says 1 or 2 seasons it ran. Keith McGrath asked, does that famous Car Crusher commercial still air on WGN? The Auto Wreckers, I think it does. I'll be the first to point out I don't watch a whole hell of a lot of like network TV or like local TV, very, very rarely. But yes, Victory Auto Wreckers. They'd show a guy and he was selling a car and he's got like this heavy metal like bracelet on. Pete Strakowicz asks if I've read the Planet of the Apes. The original novel? No, I have not. I have not read it. I've seen the first movie. I know I've seen the second movie, but I think I saw the second movie as a kid at I think it might have been a drive-in with my parents, because as kids, we went to the movies a halfway decent amount, and it wasn't always going to see like kiddie movies. So I remember that because I remember the mutants. Fear the mutant. So I remember that, and isn't it James Franciscus is the star of that? And then Charlton Heston shows up for like 10 minutes at the end. Kind of like that, the hell is the movie with Doug McClure? And then the sequel, it's Patrick Wayne. And they're searching for Doug McClure, and they find him for like the last 15 minutes of the movie. Kind of like that. And then the third movie, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, is when the apes come here to our timeline. And I don't remember much of that except for the end. No spoilers here, but it was a bummer of an end. There you go. The People That Time Forgot, which is a sequel to The Land That Time Forgot, which actually is not a terrible movie. It's not. And the captain of the U-boat is actually a decent guy. His crew, on the other hand, they're shit, but still. All right, so that was the news tonight. Of course, I mentioned DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, what have you, there's a multitude of One Bookshelf sites. Please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. Also, if you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you've got a couple of other ways that you can support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Lovely. Tastes like victory. I did that one time playing a game. Took a drink of something. I was like, tastes like victory. And of course, you can also become a monthly member of our Patreon. Of course, you'll find links in the show notes for that. Also, down in the show notes, you'll find an invite link to our Discord server. It's free to sign up, so be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Of course, during the live shows, I always like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So a big thank you to Adrian Carpio, Gustavo Covalho, Herman Lutman, Jason Lawman, Kubal, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, Talzek, Dan Webb, Game Cat, Kevin King, Pete Strakulich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, Tier 2 DM, Agile Monk, and the Madman. Yes. I'm trying to see. Let me take a peek here. I don't think it tells me who this. You know what? If I think about it, this hat might just be a hat. It may not be a minor league team. I've had this so long. I've had this hat probably 15 years. That'd be a guess. Although, strangely enough, it's like gotten bigger, seemingly. Or my head is shrinking. Ooh, hope that's not the case. Anyway, Let's see. Someone mentioned that you can watch Space 1999 on YouTube for free. Cool. I would hope that maybe it's 720p. Fingers crossed. Because I'm assuming it was shot on film. I don't think it was shot on video. I don't know. Mike said they thought it was a pirate Borg hat. Yeah, it's kind of similar. It actually is a little bit similar to that. All right. So we're going to dive in. We're going to take a look at the DynaMaps bundles in just a few moments. But before we do, I've had some people asking me what I've thought of this whole, what is it going on? Dungeon Tube is dead. And I guess I think it was Professor DM who got this all started. And they posted a video. Well, I shouldn't say got it started. I think riled people up because the video says it's over. And then it's him doing one of his faces. And there's like Bob the Builder, and I think it's Ginny D and somebody else. Silhouettes of them, or, just pictures of them up in, the corner. And it says, Dungeon Tube is dead. And then the thumbnail says, it's over. So I guess our buddy Steven over at Roll for Combat did their live stream today. And it was the same thing. And I think their thumbnail said, you killed Dungeon Tube. So I've had people ask, okay, so what do you think? Well, I will say that it is obvious that the tabletop gaming culture on YouTube is not getting the same play we once did. Yeah, that's for a few different reasons. One, there are a lot of people covering the hobby. That was one of the reasons why I kind of segued away from board games, because there are so many people out there covering board games, and good luck with the fight to get review copies, because, companies can't produce 100 copies to go to reviewers, right? So, plus, I have limited opportunities to get a bunch of people to the game table in order to play 4 or 5 board games at a shot, right? And then do it multiple times, because I always make sure to play a board game 3 times before it gets a review, because it's not unusual to love. What is it? It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Anyway, it's not unusual for you to get the rules wrong the first time you play. Sometimes the second time you play. Very rarely, even the third time you play, you still have the rules wrong. But I think, and now keep in mind, I have not watched the video that, like I said, I think it's Professor DM did. I did not watch the video today that Steven was doing for Roll for Combat. So I cannot tell you specifically what's been said. But now Semper Buffo says it's because of the YouTube algorithm. Yeah. That is a big reason for it. I don't think it's the only reason, though. I think in some ways, now remember, this is not a Dungeon Tube channel. Now, I might get thrown into the mix with those outlets as far as YouTube looks at me, because we're mainly covering role-playing games, but this is not a Dungeons and Dragons channel by any stretch of the imagination. My survival does not depend on me covering Dungeons and Dragons or me talking about Dungeons and Dragons. It doesn't. Not that, not that I pull in huge numbers of viewers or anything like that. As Agile Monk has popped on in to join us once again, welcome back. So anyway, I think part of it, and this might piss some people off, I think part of it is also viewers out there have gotten tired of the clickbait. They've gotten tired of some of the specifically D&D outlets out there. They perform this cycle. And the cycle is, here's the next game that's going to knock off Dungeons and Dragons. And then they hype that. And then, of course, that game starts coming out, or it does come out, and whoa, I can't believe it. It doesn't knock off Dungeons and Dragons. So then the next step in this cycle is complaining about Dungeons and Dragons, complaining about Wizards of the Coast, whatever controversies bubbling up over there, which is, constantly something. And it's, it sucks. It's blah, blah, blah. Then after that, we get to the point where it's like, can Dungeons and Dragons be redeemed? And then they start talking up D&D and Wizards of the Coast again. And then it just shifts right back over to here's the game that's coming out. It's going to knock off Dungeons and Dragons. Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. Draw Steel. Here comes everybody. DC 20. Here it is. Daggerheart, everybody. Shadow Dark. Look at Shadow Dark. It's done millions of dollars in Kickstarters. Guess what's still around, selling really well? Dungeons and Dragons. So I think people have kind of caught on to the shtick. Now I'm not talking about all outlets out there. There are legitimate people out there who provide a journalistic approach to Dungeons and Dragons, or they share really valid opinions and things like that. And then there's others, and I'm not going to sit here naming names, that I have caught from time to time where I thought, oh, this is just a shtick. Especially the people who are like the D&D haters. You know who I'm talking about. They're, always down on Wizards of the Coast and people who play D&D and, blah, 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 and this and that. Damn well, if they thought they could bring in viewers talking about something else, they'll move on to that. So, a lot of times I'll also catch some of these content creators where, they don't play games. You just know it. You can smell it. You can smell it on them. It's like, okay, you don't really run a game. You read the books, sure. Now, that's not to say that I run every game I've reviewed. That'd be insanity. Of course I don't. But I have been a game master for decades. I never claimed to be a fantastic game master. But I am a game master. But I think the main thing is that we got the algorithm is choking channels off. What the change is, I don't know. I don't know what's being promoted over that. So I don't know. I really don't spend that much time like on YouTube and that. So outside of, doing this stuff, uploading videos and stuff like that too. But as far as like a viewer, I don't spend much time on YouTube. I don't have that kind of time available. It's like I talk about how I very rarely watch any of the other outlets out there. And it's not a knock on them. It's just I do not have time to be able to kick back and enjoy a bunch of Seth Skarkowski, who I really like a ton. And I've met him. He comes across as good people too. I just don't have an opportunity to. So I don't know what's being pushed now. But it's obviously no longer Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games. I'm not sure about the board game aspect. I would take a guess it's probably down as well. But you got to keep in mind, when we kicked off the gaming gang back in 2010, late 2010, there were essentially 4 outlets that tackled board games. Now, of course, you had Board Game Geek that had been around for a bit. Not a long time, but it had been around for a bit. There was also Board Game News, which closed shop, I think, second or third year we were around. You had Fortress Ameritrash. You had Game On with Cody and John, which was only a podcast. You had a few that were only podcasts. Dice Tower, prime example. Dice Tower is only a podcast. When we launched thegaminggang.com with news and reviews, and then we also had the podcast, there wasn't anybody else out there doing that. Now there are probably 500 outlets, content creators, what have you, that tackle board games. It's insane. It is crazy. Tessie Trekkie says they've got a good friend who's a semi-prominent channel, 200,000 subs. That's pretty, that's, depending on the topic they tackle, yeah. Says his channel almost died because he posted shorts and the YouTube algorithm screwed him over hard. Ergo, no shorts. I've never done shorts. Geez, I wonder why. But there was a period of time that YouTube was really pushing for content creators to do shorts. And I was like, fuck that. It's like, yeah, okay, I don't do TikTok, right? I'm not a TikTok sort of dude. No offense to anybody who enjoys TikTok, but it's, 60 seconds, 180 seconds, whatever. No. But Facebook was doing the same kind of thing. It was like pushing various different, because like for some oddball reason, they have the Facebook page for the Gaming Gang like it's a business, and it's not. And I mean, I guess, back in the day, that was really the only way that you got, like a separate page. But, it's more like, oh, this is like, like a content creator outlet. They did the same thing. They were trying to push people who made videos or shared videos on Facebook into doing shorts to compete with TikTok. And it was like, come on. Mike says, yeah, being new to the hobby, that type of YouTube swing hype cost them some money until they caught on. Well, I supported a lot of games. Well, there you go. You did. But yes, I gotta say that for whatever reason, YouTube has changed their algorithm, and it seems like they're penalizing tabletop gaming channels. Give you a great example. I did my review for the Dolmenwood Player's Book. First day, a little over 800 views. And, you know, as a content creator, it'll show you what the click-through rate is of the video. And it was almost 5%. And then the next day got me all of about 60 or 70 views. Yet the click-through rate was showing that it was just about the same. It had dropped a couple of ticks. So it was like at 4-6%. So right there, that tells me it's no longer popping up. It's like, okay, all right. Like, whatever. So, but I mean, I would hate to be one of the, big outlets out there. There people have, hitched their wagon to YouTube, where now it's like, oh, shit, we bought this house with the expectation of, every month we get, $8,000 from YouTube in views, and it's our nut. Tessie Trekkie says TikTok videos lasting 60 seconds means most of them last longer than. No, that comparison isn't needed. All righty. So tonight we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at the DynaMaps. Got a couple of bundles we're going to be taking a peek at. But before we do that, once again, doing a point out, check out the show notes as far as how you can support the Gaming Gang outlet. Does anybody find, does anybody really have a problem with me mentioning that on the shows? Or me mentioning that, like, in my standalone videos? Because I got some commenter was like, video starts at this point after the shilling. It's like, are content creators not allowed to be like, hey, if you like our channel, man, I'm telling you, the entitlement fucks are just so prominent nowadays. And I can picture exactly who these people are, too, that just deserve a real punch in the face. Metaphorically, that is. Anyway, Tessie Drake says, every YouTuber does like, subscribe, share. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, just like look at all the content creators out there who 2-3 times in an hour, they got to stop and tell you about their sponsor, Squarespace or stamps.com. I don't do that. It's like, anyway, so we're going to take a look at DynaMaps in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
M&Ms and M&Ms. Entertain with M&Ms, M&Ms and M&Ms. Give 'em as a holiday favor. M&Ms, M&Ms and M&Ms. Fill your shopping days with flavor. M&M's and M&M's.
M&M candies. The milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hands.
M&M's and M&M's.
There's lots of folks you shouldn't forget.
When giving McDonald's gift certificates,
The paper boy who delivers through thick and thin.
the lady who teaches your son violin,
The barber who cuts your hair just right.
a sitter who sat for you Saturday night.
Say Merry Christmas with McDonald's gift certificate.
Each cost 50 cents.
And a book of 10 costs $5.
At McDonald's, we do it all for you.
Christmas is a time for closeness, and closeness is what Norelco razors are all about. The shiny new silver rotary razors in cord and rechargeable models with 36 blades, 9 closeness settings, and no gotchas. And the Ladybugs, the ladies' razors that really work. And the Ladybug Salon, a ladybug razor plus 11 grooming attachments. Norelco, even our name says Merry Christmas.
Who said there isn't any Santa Claus? Look what I found in my stocking.
Heaven help a sailor on a Christmas like this.
This is the jolliest, merriest Christmas I ever spent.
Nah. It is so romantic. It gives me pimples all over the goose. Yeah.
I'm as free as a bird.
Oh, that's what you think.
Don't you come near me, you sea-wolf. After the way you've deceived me.
I deceived
warn you,
you.
if you take another step, I'll scream.
Yes, another forgotten Christmas classic. Funny little note. The movie that Barbara Stanwyck made just prior to Christmas in Connecticut was Double Indemnity. Talk about a change of pace. It is a classic. Actually, Christmas in Connecticut's it's a pretty good movie. I mean, It's a Wonderful Life, but what is? Even though that movie was a flop when it came out. All right, so tonight we're going to take a peek at 2 bundles of DynaMaps from Limited Factor Games. I have the Classic Maps bundle as well as the Classic Large Rooms bundle. So let's take a peek. Each of these bundles are $90. And here we've got them. And we'll take a look at the Classic Maps bundle first. It says, stick, stack, play. It's not magnetic, it's magic. That's what this one says. I think that's their kind of tagline. All right. So the fine folks over at Limited Factor Games were kind enough to provide me with these review copies. keep in mind, neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. And they use some really strong, like, rubbery stickum. It actually just tore the plastic covering on this. It's like, all right. So, of course, as you can see, these are tiles, essentially. So these are room tiles. So we have got two sides. So these are corners. We have double doors, single doors. These look like closed, open. It's like stairs. Yep. These are stairs here. More doors. And these are supposed to stick to just about anything, but they are not magnetic. So, as an example, right? So this is fabric. And I saw it stick to fabric when they were showing me this. So, yeah, see? And then it'll lift off. See, here's paper. Yep, sticks on paper. I believe you can use dry erase. This is what throws me off. Because on the website, it says wet erase. On this, it also says wet erase. That says dry erase. So grips most play surfaces, leaves no residue. It's modular. Then, of course, place it right back out of here. You're all good to go. You can also, as an example, let's put together. Wow, this really does stick very, very well. Put together a little room here. With our corners. So this is just 20 by 20. And then we could put a door. You can put it on top. Just like so. So we'd have the room there. You got your minis. You want to use your miniatures here. Or of course, if you got tokens, you can use tokens. That's an example of the corners. I think it's pretty amazing how well this sticks. I mean, it's pretty cool. They were nominated for an Emmy for these. I also believe that there are some others that are on the horizon, because I had asked, of course, this was back in October when I chatted with the gentlemen who were demoing this. They were selling these at Gamehole Con. I had asked, I said, do you have like chests and tables and chairs and things like that? And they said, yes, those were on the horizon. So if you just get one, it's $30. So these are $30 each. So this is classic intersections. And then, of course, we also even have, if you like have something that's like a half square, right? You can use these. Maybe you can see what the thickness is. Give you a better look here. So, and not a lot of play in these either. I mean, they're flexible, but they're not, real floppy, and they're not, extremely rigid either. So this is our classic Rooms 1. So this is a 25 by 25 room. Let's take this off. And if you wanted to, I would think Jeff W. Moore is with us in chat, says, are they kind of like color forms? Funny enough, a little bit, but they are way, way thicker than color forms. So yeah, you could do something like that. This is cool. We got all the different sizes. And then, of course, now you see why you want to get these bundles, right? Because this does not have any doors. So if you wanted, you could do something like putting in double doors here. Actually, it's probably go more like that, so they're lined up correctly. Something like that. I can see you kind of putting things together pretty quickly too. I'm impressed. I really am. I got to see these at Gamehole Con, but I wasn't touching them and trying them out. They're just showing me different things. So paper, we know it's stuck to that. So this is cardstock. Sticks to that. Where's the cat? Bring one of the cats down. Sticks to the cat. There we go. I think somebody asked if, Keith asked if these stick to a vinyl map. I would think so. Okay, so here's the combat pad. So here's kind of a treated, because I was going to say, oh, you know what? Let's take a look to see if they would stick to like a flip mat, but I don't have one handy. But this is actually the same sort of treatment on this. Yup. Agile Monk with a $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Says, wet erase markers work better than dry erase on these, in their opinion? I would think so. Yeah, this was the magnetic combat pad for Starfinder. So we've got that. Aha. I do have a flip mat. Just double check. They certainly do. They fit. Not fit. I mean, they stick. And let's see. They are actually also in scale to the grid. So as you can see here, so you could utilize these with different flip mats. indoor, outdoor styled. All right. So we've got this big room. This is the 25 by 25. I think that's the biggest on this. Yeah, these are 15 by 15. It's 20 by 20. This one's 15 by 20. So there you go. Like says, cover your walls and have a dungeon that traverses your entire house along the walls. Then gotta have sticky backed monster and character pieces. So that is the Classic Rooms 1. We've got the Classic Intersections 1. And then we have hallways. I think this is going to be Classic Hallways. Oh, Classic Halls. So we have 10 foot wide, 5 foot wide, different lengths here. All right, so just for the hell of it, so you'd have the hallway here, right? I gotta say, it's impressive how well that sticks to this here. All right. Let's take a door. Take another door. I guess, obviously enough, I should be laying down the rooms and then putting the doors on top of them. Yeah, pretty quick. What you could probably also do is pre-build some of the rooms, the hallways and stuff like that for your players. It's like, oh, okay, so you moved in this section of the dungeon. But yeah, as you know, doing a dungeon crawl, or even if you were playing like War Against Darkness, you just build as you go. And then, you know, as you're moving along, break stuff down. All right, so this was the classic bundle. Put these back on here. And then we got that hall. So these three together make up one bundle, and that would be $90. Next up, this is the large rooms bundle. We'll just peek at these. I'm not going to necessarily pull them all out. Let's see what we got here. Kind of funny. Oh, see now, there we go. Another one that ripped the plastic. So this is Classic Large Rooms Corners. This can help you expand them out a bit. Keith McGrath says, what I like about this is you get to keep the crawl a secret. I've played so many games where sheets of paper were over places we haven't discovered. Yeah, there you go. Pete Strykowitz says, this would work for the god that crawls. Let's see. You mean that? Hey, if you missed yesterday's show, Pete Strykowitz sent me some goodies. The highlight is the Purple Planet Tome of Adventure 4. We'll be looking at this next week. He also sent me, of course, The God That Crawls, an old SPI box game, although I did notice it's Decision Games as well. But still, 1994. It's like, wow. And then we have the Pervasive Corruption for Dungeon Crawl Classics. Pete Strikelich had pointed out. So very nice. Much appreciated. Thank you very kindly for sending these along. All right. So see what we got on the back here. These are all rooms. So no doors or anything here. No stairs. Just rooms. These are the kind of things that I am curious about how well they hold up to repeated use. These look like they should be pretty good. So here we go. More big rooms. So yeah, you could easily put together really large rooms because here's the corners. We should have some middle pieces, I would think, too. All right, so these are sides. Yep, large room sides. And then this is where we should have the centers. Yep, that's exactly what it says. Large room centers. Yeah, so you can make some pretty damn good size rooms here. There is no doubt about that. Pretty wild. Like I said, I'm impressed. I'm impressed that it sticks to just about anything. I like that. I think that's very cool. It kind of blows my mind that it sticks. And it really sticks to this, I'll tell you that. Kind of blows my mind that it sticks to fabric. I mean, it's not like glued on there. I mean, you can lift it off. It's not really designed to be sticking to plastic. But so the other thing, too, is I wonder what happens, like this bent a little bit. And now I can see that there's like a bend in it. Kind of getting rid of it that way. I would take a guess, as long as you put it back onto here, it might lay out and get rid of a little bend. All right, so this is the classic large rooms bundle. Also $90. If you want to get these individually, they are $30. And you may want to keep your eyes peeled because, as I mentioned before, I was told that there are some other goodies on the way, like tables and chests and stuff like that. So very nice. Big thank you to the fine folks over at Limited Factor Games for providing me with these review copies. Very nice. Sweet. And you can actually visit either limitedfactorgames.com or I think it's DynaMaps. Okay, so there's limitedfactorgames.com. I thought there's also DynaMaps.com, but I might be wrong. Is that what it's saying on the other one? Nope. All right. So there you have it. W Forge says, speaking of maps, Incarnate released their version 2.0 recently. Cool. Very nice. All righty. So that is a peek at DynaMaps from Limited Factor Games. Right. So on tomorrow's show, we're going to dive on it. Well, if there is a show tomorrow, I am probably going to be working on the SUV. Hopefully to get started. Fingers crossed. I think we should be able to have a show. Maybe no news. I mean, the reality is I don't have to prep that much if I'm just coming down going like, hey, we're taking a first look at this. Right. It's not like I study it. I study the shrink wrap. Well, we're going to take a look at CBR plus PNK from MythWorks. From my understanding, I think these are all like pamphlets. Pretty wild. I like the artwork. Artwork looks really cool. I remember sharing a news piece when this crowdfunded. So yes, we're going to dive on in. We are going to take a look at that on tomorrow's show. All righty. That's it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you. Because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company when I'm sharing the news or taking a look at different stuff. Of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the channel. It is vastly appreciated. If you like the video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube, or at least it's supposed to announce that to you. It's also supposed to inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of the Dolmenwood Player's Book from Necrotic Gnome and Exalted Funeral. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Happy holidays, everybody. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.